Taylor Swift, greatest of all time. Tom Brady versus Joe Montana. Serena Williams versus Steffi Graf. LeBron James versus Magic Johnson. Alexander the Great versus Napoleon. And Michael Jackson versus Taylor Swift. I am going to persuade you that Taylor Swift has earned a spot amongst the all-time greatest musicians. For those of you who are already fans, you're welcome to say your amens now. As for the haters, the ground we are covering may give you some ammunition to defend your own favorite artist position on the GOAT list. It's probably already obvious that I'm a Taylor Swift fan. I know every album, every song, and every hook. I was a part of the Seattle earthquake last July. In addition to my own experiences, I've referenced magazine articles, blogs, reviews, and the Billboard charts in preparation for this speech. I'm going to cover 3 items that affect music artist popularity metrics: technology, distribution, and tenure. First, technology. Advancements in music recording and the type of media used to share have dramatically changed the way that music is consumed. There were no #1 selling albums before the record player. Music could only be consumed live at concert or remotely by radio. Nowadays, physical media like records and CDs have been replaced with Spotify subscriptions. In a February 2023 Journal of Marketing Communication study, researchers observed that digital music products are consumed through a pull process, which is a shift from the push process that was prevalent in the music industry pre-digital. Additionally, advancements in recording mean that artists can record and publish their work directly to the market. Recording an album at Abbey Road or Muscle Shoals is now just an expensive homage. As technology was moving power out of the hands of the radio stations and record labels, another change was happening simultaneously. Distribution demand was flattening, which is the second point to consider when considering artist popularity. Distribution. In earlier decades, the artists that were popular were the ones that got picked. If Columbia Records signed you, or Rick Rubin produced you, or radio programmers accepted some payola, then you were going to make it on the Billboard charts. The fact that we can now easily access a much broader variety of music means that the long tail of demand curve is flattening up. Listening options are no longer limited by the commercial pressures and preferences of record labels. Artists who historically were excluded from publishing their music based on race or gender can now publish and will. There's a little argument that white artists like Elvis were given preference over their black counterparts like Little Richard. As David Kreider points out in his 2022 analysis of data from a study of Gen Z focus groups, a growing number of studies have taken the popular music machine to task for predominant maleness found in playlists, algorithms, and award nominations. Recording and broadcasting companies alike face a crucial moment of redefinition as a new generation comes of age, one that is unwilling to accept that the social status quo and shows little interest in the forms of media their parents and grandparents enjoyed. Because of these supply and demand changes in the industry, it is harder than ever before to be a megastar, but easier than ever to get your music out and be heard. Additionally, artists are not being forced out of the market if they have a viable audience. This shift in an artist's ability to stick around longer leads to our final measurement of artist popularity, tenure. It isn't precisely true to say that the longer an artist has been making music, the more popular they will be, but there is some correlation between their tenure in the music industry and their popularity. Top selling album of all time is likely to be from some prior decade because 40 years gives more time for more fans to buy more albums. Yes, Michael Jackson's Thriller has outsold Taylor Swift's 1989, but we will need to wait until 2054 to make a fair comparison. Despite the historic preference towards male artists, Taylor Swift has garnered a variety of awards and accolades. Jeff Nelson chronicled some of her 2023 milestones in his People magazine article. Here are just a few that he shares. 3.5 million copies of 1989 sold globally in its first week, the biggest debut of her career. The first living artist with 5 top 10 albums on the Billboard's 200 chart simultaneously. The Eras Tour is the highest grossing concert film of all time, earning more than $250 million worldwide. She has 12 #1 albums, more than any other woman. There's been a 40% increase of sales at Michael's store for jewelry bracelet making kits for the Eras Tour, and many other achievements. Billy Joel has compared Swift fans to Beatlemania in the 60s. She's had a phenomenon named after her called the Taylor effect, which you can see when Travis Kelce's popularity went from a well-known NFL player to a worldwide celebrity, and when the Kansas City Chiefs achieved their highest regular season viewing ratings because Swift attended the games. If she hasn't already, by the end of her career, Swift will certainly be deemed the most popular female artist of all time. But the question remains whether a changing cultural landscape that doesn't account for gender will allow room for Swift at the top of the list, where she might already be if she were a man. I think you can see the difficulty of comparing past greats to current greats in any field, because it isn't just the players that change, but the game changes too. The 3 factors we consider that impact musical artists' popularity are technology, distribution, and tenure. The Beatles, Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Elton John. Taylor Swift? I am asking you to reconsider any notion you have that Taylor Swift is just a passing phase. Take a closer look at the legacy she is creating, the quality of her songwriting, and the way she is working to change the industry. I think you'll agree that she fits right in with the most popular music acts of all time. Long live all the mountains that we moved. I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you. Taylor Swift, long live.